have proof. I have from Brigham and Women's, Dana-Farber, my identification brand, which I got today, this morning, in case I guess I got confused and no one knew who I was, and they'd look and discover I am Michael Koran, born March 1st, does it say? Maybe it doesn't. Yes, 3/1/1941. Wow, is that a long time ago? Time is funny. They say, my mother always used to say, they say, and then I grew up and discovered they were usually Freudian psychologists or psychiatrists. They say you can subtract a year for each year after 50. So at 51, you're now 49. At 60, you're 40. At 82, my age, you are 18. And it does feel that way often, although it feels that way in my heart and mind much better than it was when I was 18. My body, however, is an 82-year-old body. It has, walking a mile, it's a great accomplishment. I used to run 2.2 miles around Fresh Pond and pick up speed at the end. I just walked with my beloved friend Michelle Scow around Fresh Pond. It was an exercise, and we did it. So woodpecker, and she saw an owl. I couldn't see it. It was one of the things when you get to be 18 in this new schema, is vision is challenging. I now, if you look closely, my right eye's pupil is all the way next to my nose. So I really am seeing as my ophthalmologist, a wonderful ophthalmologist, Dr. Stephen Taylor at Ophthalmic Consultants of Boston. My ophthalmologist said, Michael, you're seeing basically out of one eye. If I close that good eye and I look this way, I can see the screen and my nose. So it's a little frightening. I have been, I'll say the word blessed, because what I do in the show is the words that come, I share with you, unless, you know, they're prohibited. We're not allowed to advertise or be scatological. I think those are the two things we can't do. There might be one more I forgot. But that will do. So I share with you the words that come. So this morning I go to check about what they discovered when they did an MRI, that my sinus cancer is growing. It was 2 inches by 2 inches before. I called this sinus cancer George, or Georgie, or Georgie Porgy. And when I have conversations, and so does my beloved friend Michelle, with Georgie Porgy. And she says, Georgie, you remember the nursery rhyme, right? Georgie Porgy, puddin' and pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. And when the boys came out to play, Georgie Porgy ran away. So I'm hoping my Georgie Porgy, in my head, we're trying to tell him to lose weight and to hibernate. It rhymes, he can remember that. And he's listening now lose weight and hibernate. Sometimes when I get angry at having this condition, we're angry at living in our world. Anger is a kind word for hate. And I feel hate and violence toward myself and our world. And I hear in my mind, I want to die. And I say, okay, I can tell Georgie, and I command Georgie, which I don't think he likes. I have a dear friend who said, you can command these parts of you you don't like. But I'm not sure command always works, or often works. Because I'm not sure Georgie Porgy wants to be commanded. I can hear him now say, no, I like the way Michelle talks to me. So I think I'm going to still encourage Georgie Porgy to hibernate and lose weight. But I was scared this morning and last night. I thought, because I also feel pain in my head, that this tumor is growing and might be growing quickly. I saw two wonderful doctors at Brigham and Women's. One was a new one, I don't remember her name, it was a hard name, alas. But Dr. Priscilla Miriam. And they put my mind more at ease. My brother, psychiatrist from New Hampshire, a doctor, they let him listen in and be part of the conversation, which was such a gift. I wasn't alone with them. Even though there were two lovely women, I felt I had my brother on my side. We have become loving brothers in the last 2 years. He's now 80, I'm 82. We have been reading, thanks to his beloved wife, Elise, who suggested I give Len a birthday present of short stories. We've been reading a short story a week and talking about it for 2 years, and it gives us an opportunity to talk about our lives. And for the first time, love really, without trying, comes through my body toward my brother. And we say to each other, I love you, at the end of our exploring a short story. It is so healing. So I am going to call this show Cancer and What It Can Do for You. Because if we have it, okay, my beloved friend again, Michelle, her mantra, it's a challenging mantra. I should give you a Surgeon General's warning. You can move away from the television set if you don't want this challenging mantra. The mantra is, why is this happening for me? Why? Whatever's happening. We can do that for the world too, but we'll stick with my personal problems here, but I hope for yours too. Why is whatever's happening for you? Even if it's not true, it's very empowering. Since it is happening, okay, how can I make what's happening good for me? It's very challenging, right? Taught in prison for 10 years, hard. Why? I had one woman who in prison for 7 years said 7 years wasn't enough. She needed more to learn to get away from her old ways and learn new ways. She got a bachelor's degree in prison. I went to the ceremony. This is from Boston University, which has a program sending teachers to prisons. And teaching the students college classes, giving them credit, and giving them degrees. This was very inspired by John Silber, who was head of Boston University. It was run by a woman for many years who was affectionately called by the prisoners Ma Barker. And she really wanted to help them. And I wanted to teach in prison for a long time because I felt, this is really related to my cancer in some way, we might find out. I felt what I experienced the first day going to maximum security prison, which is called Walpole. The city has changed its name to Cedar Junction because the most famous thing about it was the Walpole maximum security prison, and they wanted to not be known primarily as the place where this maximum security prison was. But I walk into Walpole maximum security prison for the first time. As always, much more scared than I know. I'm trying to put on a good face, even hiding from myself some of my feelings. And I meet a man walking out. I am not making this up. His name was Dante. Small man. Unlike me, dressed in a sport coat, pressed pants. And I asked Dante, what can you tell me about teaching in prison? And he says, we're all in prison. And we've written on the bars, please don't take me out of here. It's the only home I have. Please don't take me out of here. It's the only home I have. And as is my way of getting through the world, I thought this was lovely. I repeated it many times till finally, at around 80, I could begin to break out of one of my big prisons, which was thinking that, or using words to hide from the emptiness inside. And finally was comfortable feeling the void, and therefore way more comfortable getting to be open-hearted like I am with my brother now, and care for other people as much as I care for myself. Wow, was that a journey. We're all in prison, and we've written on the bars, please don't take me out of here. It's the only home I have. It's been a long struggle, and one of the part of the struggle is I hear in my mind such anger, violence. I want to die, please kill me. These are mantras. Help me, help me, help me. And it was underneath this teacher persona, this word persona, was a very traumatized, violent, needy boy who needed love and healing. And that isn't over yet, even though I get so much that seems to not be over yet. I still feel this. I feel my sinus cancer is an embodiment of those feelings. My sinus cancer is angry, needy, just growing anywhere, which way, not caring what he's messing up Georgie's messing up my vision. So that's my guess as to the connection between my feelings and thoughts, my deep ones, the chance to come to me, and this sinus cancer. And it did teach me. It did teach me to love life. If you feel you're going to die, it's when I feel I'm going to die. Oh my, do I appreciate each day until, because the symptom is an irritating pain, this right eye that can't see very well and suffering from pain like dry eye repeatedly. This time around, Georgie is teaching me in my better moments that everything can be healing. Talking to you, especially if I could hear you, but I'll hear my friend Sarah Brett after the show, really letting in love and even the words from people, really, really letting them in. I love you, love you, love you. No, no, no. I mean, can we really let in love for ourselves from other people? I've said in the show before, it's worth repeating maybe. So that was hard to really let it in. They say of certain children who grow up without any adult they're really connected to, that we're just stuck in our ego. We need to survive with that. There's no experience. Certainly didn't have that with my beloved brother Len, and he with me. There's no experience of really being connected. I'm part of a family, part of a group, and we crave that unknowingly, actually. I created that as a teacher, but that was not, I was the teacher. To be really part of a group, care for other people as much as I care for myself, that's a hard one. That's maybe too hard, but at least they begin to move in that direction. As they say in nonviolent communication, their feelings and needs are as important as mine. Wow. So this is what the cancer is teaching me now. George, or my tumor, whatever words you like. Hi, George. But George is listening now. Thank you. What a gift to finally, maybe, take in whatever the green background behind us. Really take in the green. Since my cancers, I've had more than one, the world looks more beautiful. Trees, sort of, just what a gift. The sky, every moment. We used to go to Martha's Vineyard in the evening, my beloved first wife, Robbie, and I would go to the bay, and people would clap at the sunset. And then I would, wasn't really, now I can take it in even more. So one gift, I'm not sure I can explain it more, is, well, probably my need for healing. And so I want to feel the love, the beauty, the healing in all experience. Even looking at myself in the TV show, I'm sorry I can't see you. All of it, breathed in, can be healing. One story I love to tell is when I met my dear friend Dr. Tune-Up is his professional name. He goes to people's homes and tunes up and fixes their car. He also teaches this in many adult education centers around town, including Lexington Community Education. If you want to find out about cars, Bruce Gary's Dr. Tune-Up's Basics About Car Maintenance. So Bruce was a real man, even when I met him. He knew about cars. He's shorter than I, but big-chested, big voice. How you doing, Mikey? And I'm more of this intellectual. And when we were beginning to know each other, Bruce said, "Love to see you more, Mikey." And I said, oh, for good or real, I study during the day, or we prepare for my classes. I was teaching every night then. So I'm not free during the day. And he said, "What kind of answer is that?" And I had never felt this. Brucey's father was a rageaholic. And it felt like I was kicked in my stomach by a horse or a donkey. Oh! But I wasn't going to let him push me around. I stuck to my need to read and write during the day, write my books, prepare for my classes. He didn't like that. But it got into me, his yelling, although it didn't change my behavior. So one day when a former friend of mine, not a former friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, who I knew at the University of Chicago in my young 20s, Robert Strand, comes to visit in Cambridge, see me during, I have a Labor Day party every year and invite my friends. You all are invited to come from 2 to 6, Hastings Square Park, Labor Day. And I see Bob with his second wife. I had known his first one. And I couldn't help myself. Again, stuff inside me, underneath my "Hi there, how are you? Good to see you." I was so comparative. He's married. He's a professor emeritus, was tenured, has a home, 2 children. And I am not married, have no children, living in a small condo. And I start to shake. I don't let him know that. And I go over to Brucey's and I'm shaking and I tell him why. And he says, "Mikey, I didn't know you felt that way too." He thought I was this self-confident, intellectual teacher. And he was just this manual labor. So we both admired each other, which counts for our wonderful friendship. The differences between us, although I have the same anger he has, but I try to suppress it, which might be why I have my sinus cancer. And Brucey says, "Mikey, how bad can you be if I love you?" And it got into me more than anybody else telling me I love you. Brucey with the great anger, with also the great open-hearted love. And I felt loved. I think maybe for the first time. "Mikey, how bad can you be if I love you?" I said, "Brucey, that sounds like a song," which is a bit of a deflection, turning it into art rather than really breathing it in. And he said, "You go write it, Mike." And I wrote it. And maybe when I sing it for you now, I can really maybe feel Brucey's love for me. How bad can I be if you love me? How bad can I be if you care? How bad can I be if you love me? And I feel like I'm walking on air. I lost all my friends and my family. I lost all my money and home. But how bad can I be if you love me? Even if I'm all alone. How bad can you be if I love you? How bad can you be if I care? How bad can you be if I love you? And it feels like we're walking on air. So that was the beginning of feeling loved. It still took many years to feel it some of the time. I think the wars inside me have not stopped. The cries, help me, I want to die. They help. I used to feel an axe. Imagine an axe chopping my head off. I think this is all connected to cancer. And when I listened and asked, like a good boy, what are you teaching me? The axe would communicate. Get out of your head and into your heart. And then it would stop hitting me. It doesn't anymore. One Life in the Day of Michael Koran. So I wonder now if we could have healing. Thank you for your attention, even if you're watching this on YouTube. I wonder what, at this moment, Georgie Porgy has to say. He keeps saying, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine in your brain and mind. I'm going to hibernate after I lose weight. Wow. Thank you, Georgie. But you taught me, George, this time, which I didn't know, that not only Brucey, but everybody, every moment, if I let it in, is healing. Talking to you is healing, hopefully for both of us. Looking at Central Square and the person biking by, it all comes into us. It's an experience, it's healing. So it's much more than just cherishing life when I was afraid today I was going to die soon. I mean, it will happen. But it's appreciating. This is what Christians talk about, that there's loving, beautiful, healing going on all the time. Even my voice, I have this wonderful singing teacher, Susan Allen. If I could hear my voice reverberating in my mind, it's sometimes helpful with sounds like nice Georgie, hibernate, lose weight and hibernate. Well, thanks to the mantra of my friend Michelle Scow, that's why this is happening for me. It's been a great gift, even if I leave, hopefully, for the heavens. I don't know why not, but life is surprising. To have learned this, even this last month, that as my favorite clown, Barbara Michaels, says, every moment is a gift, even if it sucks. Every moment is a gift, even if it sucks. So to feel this, not just think it, that's more challenging. My friend Tracy Marshall, teacher, great classes at the Lexington Community Ed and Newton Ed, Tracy Marsh, insists there are deeper feelings beyond our thoughts. And we've been trained often not to pay attention to them. What grade school would be great? Okay, everybody, how are you feeling today? And let's talk about it. How are you relating to your mother and father and siblings and yourself and people in the classroom and the teacher? Boy, what if we began with feelings? And love. How are you loving today? And compassion. Where's your compassion today? Trust. Can you trust to be part of a family and community? Can we learn that trust? Maybe only if we create it. Maybe in the classroom or in small groups to create the love and the trust. Not easy. We're given many challenges at birth. My friend Jean Mason, genius of a repairman, philosopher and repairman, he can come to your home and fix your toilet, garbage disposal, locks. Jean Mason said most of us don't survive our childhood. What a challenge we have individually and for our planet. Can we get to that simple place? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Can we get there? Of course, there's My Fair Lady, which says, the Lord above made man to love his neighbor, which is the right and proper thing to do. But with a little bit of luck, when he comes around, you won't be home. So be careful of general ideas that take us away from what we're truly spontaneously feeling and needing at the moment. Such a challenge being a human being. It's great to have these loving ideas, ideals, and also great to know what we're actually feeling and thinking at the moment. Well, if this was a call-in show, I'd ask people any questions for George or me about this sinus cancer. Perhaps the first thing that could be a cautionary tale is the first time I discovered I had it in 2015. I went immediately to see, I had double vision. They did an MRI and they discovered I had sinus cancer. And I saw an extremely well-rated doctor, surgeon, but I was rushed. First seeing him and then his colleague on the same day. So the first cautionary words of this tale is don't do things that your doctor said will be convenient for you. If I do it again, which I might, I will see the surgeon and won't see the surgeon's partner until I sleep and digest and talk about what the surgeon says. But this wonderful surgeon shuttled us, Michelle and I, my wellness nurse friend, to see another surgeon at the same day, and way too much, too overwhelmed. And they wanted to do a biopsy, and then again for my convenience, there's two I'm sure, and operation, surgery at the same day. And I said, how can you know? You have to see what the biopsy said. It might be the type of cancer, which it was. Chondro, which means ligament, chondrosarcoma, that could eventually benefit from other treatments. And so I didn't want to stay with these wonderful surgeons. Went to another surgeon at Brigham and Women's, Ian Dunn, who did the same thing. We hadn't learned that. Two surgeons the same day. But I insisted on a biopsy, which they did, and discovered I had chondrosarcoma. There's other possible cancers in my sinus. But it was getting worse for me, vision, swallowing. And I thought, alas, I have to do surgery. I did not ask. Primary question. What percentage of people are helped by the surgery? Have you done this operation before? What are the statistics? Really, my bad. I mean, they could have told me, but I didn't ask. At the very last minute, I was going to have surgery, I think, the next week. My wonderful primary care physician, Dr. Burchell, said, let's call that first surgeon and see if there's something else that he could recommend to you rather than this immediate surgery. And we call and talk. I get a bill for $27 and I'm pissed. But I pay it, thank goodness. And then I call that surgeon after the conversation, and he says, I can see you for about 10 minutes at 7:15 in the morning. And I go there and he says, this kind of sinus cancer can be treated by proton beam therapy. So he wasn't at all eager to operate now that he knew what it was. What a gift. And that following morning, the head of the Proton Beam Center, Dr. Leipsch, calls me up and spends an hour and a half convincing us that proton beam therapy might well heal me. 95% of the people who have it with my condition, the cancer remains dormant. And I was glad and shook up and called the assistant of Dr. Ian Dunn, and said, "Why didn't you tell me about proton beam therapy? What was the prognosis for your surgery?" And the assistant said, "We have no prognosis." And in anger, I called Dr. Ian Dunn, who did not return my call. It took me 2 years to write a review and to say this. I began it saying, "I loved Dr. Ian Dunn's hands, but alas, he didn't tell me a prognosis or about proton beam therapy." So I took the proton beam therapy. I think it was many times a week, with a mask over my head, lying under the proton beam projector. And after many weeks, Dr. Leipsch said, "I pronounce your sarcoma, your chondrosarcoma, is dormant." I wondered why dormant rather than dead, and I now have found out. And so from 2015 to 2023 now, George has been dormant. And now, for whatever reasons, George is now growing again. After all this time hibernating, as far as we know. Had 2 MRIs, maybe 16 and 17, and then stopped. And George had stopped growing. Why is this happening for me? Well, I tried to tell you this lesson beyond lessons. It's really a spiritual lesson too, that every moment there's healing, beauty, the beauty of trees, beauty of the sky, the beauty of people. That doesn't mean I can't see what other parts of I should know, as the shadow knows. Who knows what lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. So just because we're very beautiful and very healing, and there's love in all of us, even had a dream I could feel, the dream was instruction, it was a thought dream. Feel the love coming through everyone, through their hearts and mind. And that doesn't mean that's all they're made of, or all I'm made of, I should know. But George is teaching me this time, to feel the healing. So days are beautiful, and except for these bouts of self-hate and this irritation in my eye and difficulty seeing now. But what I truly would not trade it. I mean, some people call it God or spirit or the creative energy, whatever word works for you. That is, we're part of the cosmos, streaming energy through us. Amazing energy that gave birth to butterflies and butternut squash and bluebirds and woodpeckers and owls and loving friends and wellness nurses and even me and Dr. Tune-Up and Gene Mason, all the love in people is unending. Doesn't mean that there wasn't also lots of other stuff, but the good angel is actually beyond words and can be felt. Maybe, hope you don't need to live till 82 to feel it the way I do. And it's every moment. So I think George will be healed every moment. I was angry last night. I'm not sure it was kind. And when I felt, would someone please kill me? I said, I'm going to use that towards George. George, you're not good when you're going to die. You know, because George is doing bad things to me. And I'm a teacher of nonviolent communication. And we're allowed to use physical violence to prevent, not to punish, to prevent violence. And so, if someone's going to hit you or a friend, you can, not to hurt them, but you can push them or hit them to stop them. It's part of nonviolent communication, preventative use of violence. I once remember a little boy crossing the street alone at 3, and his Quaker mother trying to explain to him that's very dangerous. And another mother just slapping her child on the tush. Which is more effective? I think we should do a clinical study. A slap on the tush or a conversation about the dangers of crossing the street. So George is a great gift. I'm not sure about the use, the threatening use. I mean, it is threatening. George, I hate to tell you, if I have to, I don't want to. I don't want to. Be a good boy, Georgie Porgy. Georgie Porgy puddin' them pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. That's not so nice. When the boys came out to play, Georgie Porgy ran away. At least run away, lose weight, hibernate. The nursery rhyme was something about King George IV. The George after the king in the American, King George III in the American Revolution, who was very heavy, puddin' and pie. So, I might be threatening. I am, in my own sweet way. But George, it's on television, you can trust it. If it's better, statistically, to surgically cut you away from me, I will do it. You have a big chance now. This isn't happening immediately. The biggest chance, and I believe George is listening now, not just you. Maybe I have no listeners but George. I do not know. We'll find out. See how many hits on YouTube. But maybe this will influence George's behavior, like the little boy crossing the street. You're hurting my right eye, George. One clear sign you've lost weight is if my pupil can return to the center of my eye. So, in honesty, I have to say, reluctantly, I'm open to surgery. I'd way rather be healed with these alternative healings, feeling the healing, loving, beautiful energy radiating from everything, and certainly from flowers and trees and sky and people, with all our hearts. And whatever energy we're part of. I hear every morning Mahalia Jackson in my alarm waking me. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hand. He's got the whole world in his hands. So, this loving, healing, beautiful energy, some call it God, why not? Or creative spirit, whatever word we want. That's here. We're part of it. It's a great poem by Gerard Manley Hopkins, an Anglican priest. The world is charged with the grandeur of God, like shining out of shook foil. It's just there. See the light, the sun every day. A blessed Jesus. The sun shines on the just and unjust, Jesus said. So does our Father in heaven. All of us, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, bathed with the whole world in creative, healing, beautiful, loving Spirit's hands. So this is the gift of George. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Now that maybe I've learned it, I don't know if the physical world works this way all the time. I've really learned it. So maybe you'll hibernate after losing weight. I won't need to use surgery to rip you out. Maybe, I pray. If you're listening and want to pray with me, I would appreciate it. Just the mantra. Dear George, dear teacher, dear spiritual master, lose weight now and hibernate. I think I've learned why you're happening for me. Thank you so much for listening. You're listening, even though I don't know you, and watching is a prayer too, is part of the prayer, part of the healing. I hope for you too. I hope these cancer stories are helpful to you, whether you have cancer, know someone with cancer, or whatever ailments that are coming or have come or our way. I hope this is a healing story for all of us. She's got the whole world in her hand.